Hey Ryan, you want to watch a movie?
Well, what are you thinking?
I don't know. What are you feeling?
Let's give us a horror.
Well, I've got The Descent, a
look at
2005 horror movie.
Look at that. What's it rated? Can my kids watch it?
Well, it's rated R, and it's rated R for a reason. It's got some pretty grotesque body horror and some pretty wild language.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What about American Made?
It had an American release, but it's a British horror movie,
Okay,
which is actually better because it avoids a lot of the American horror movie tropes.
Well, I like American movies, but we'll just have to get over that. What's it about then?
It's about 6 women who go down into a cave. It's very claustrophobic. It's all about the scares that come from that close environment, but it's also a monster movie.
Oh, that's good. Is that scary at least?
It is scary. Some of the same ways as your American movies. It's got plenty of jump scares. I know you're a big fan of those.
Yeah.
But it's also got some really nice tension building. The sets are built expertly to really capitalize on that claustrophobic feel. So I think that wins out over the jump scares.
Now, you know I love performances. I love a good
I know.
A good give it to them, you know?
Well, does it have good performances? It does.
Okay.
The lead actress, phenomenal. She won a Saturn Award for Best Lead Actress, and her supporting actresses are really good too. They really sell the movie.
What about length? They only got like an hour, a couple hours.
It's an hour and a half, so not too long, and the momentum carries all the way through, quick paced. It'll feel more like an hour, honestly.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, cue it up. Put it on.
Should we take the plunge?
God.
I just looked up synonyms for descend.
There's only one way out of this chamber, and that's down the pipe. I'm stuck! I can't breathe. Okay, move! Now! Now! This is not good, guys. Can we get out of here? Which way? I don't know. Please! Is there anybody there? Where are they?
So what did you think of The Descent?
You know, I liked it. It was good. Yeah, they had this scene at the beginning where they were rafting down the river, and it was like kind of like scary, but also like kind of like you weren't really sure if it was like fun. There's like mixing in like laughs and like kind of like screams. So you're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? I'm not gonna like that.
You did mention the good juxtaposition when we were filming it. Yeah, I also liked that. I did think the beginning was a bit slow though. Like it definitely, when they were rafting, the hospital, clearly those things had to happen. But you know, the whole cabin scene and everything like that, it just kind of slowed the movie down and really backloaded it. But
yeah, I forgot about that cabin scene. They didn't really do anything with the cabin.
It served to kind of establish characters, and I wish they had like walked the line better. They were trying to balance character like explanations and that sort of thing with no characterization. And you know, once the cabin was done and they got in the caves, the movie was fantastic. It was just a nice ride all the way through, but I think they could have balanced it a little bit better.
Yeah. Honestly, like I like the build up to like the creatures. Just like you seeing like the first blood on the wall, and you're like, okay. And I was kind of like bummed at the, like just like the audience, like dramatic irony. You're just like, wait, why didn't you tell your friends? Like, come on now.
But no,
Really?
they built the creatures really well.
Yeah.
And that first jump scare of the movie,
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
yeah, that was, I mean, by far, I think the best, most effective jump scare in the whole movie. And I think that's because the movie kind of suffered from that typical monster trope where the monsters get less scary once you show them and it kind of turns into an action film. But it was a good action film, and the action was consistent, and they still got you with the jump scares, so it definitely kept the adrenaline up and the momentum and everything like that.
Yeah, and I like how they kind of like turned like little clicks to like they like all split apart, and then they eventually came back together at the end. But it was just a ride.
What did you think of the fairly like little explanation into the monsters? They dive into it a little bit, but
It was good. Yeah, they could have given a little more. They explained it as being like evolutionary, some sort of misstep, or just like an evolutionary advantage to live in the caves. Or they said it was older climbers. But
Did you mind it though? Like
I didn't mind it. We didn't really need that. Like it wasn't necessary.
Totally agree. I don't think we needed much of a backstory besides that there are these monsters in the cave. They guide by echolocation, that sort of thing. I don't think we needed much more than that. They were just serving more of like the overall character conflict with the Juno and Sarah characters and everything like that.
Yeah, what did you think about, just on a separate note, what do you think about the climbing? Because I know you're a climber.
I thought the climbing was dumb. They did some things right. The equipment they were using was fine, the piton, everything like that. But just the dangling from the ceiling crack, I could not get invested in that. But that's for like the 1% of viewers that will actually pick up on the fact that that is not at all how they should do that. It's not at all how it would go. So it was stupid, but like the monsters, I kind of just pushed it aside and was like, okay, this is here in the movie, suspend disbelief, just go along with it. And I mean, that's the best way to watch this kind of horror movie.
Yeah, and the characters, I thought they were pretty solid. Like Juno versus Sarah, like how like started with them together and they split up and they eventually come back together at the end to fight it out. That was good.
Yeah, they were easily the best characters, but I think that's because they were the most fleshed out. And they were consistently fleshed out throughout the movie, more so than just like, yes, they were there at the beginning, they were friends at the beginning. Beth too, Beth the one that Juno, accidentally killed. But that conflict, when I first watched the movie, it seemed a little bit forced. Just the like, why would Sarah backstab Juno? But the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. I mean, she had an affair with Sarah's husband. That's big. She abandoned her in the hospital. She led them down this cave, like under false pretenses.
And screwed them all over.
So it's like, I don't know if that's what I would do in that scenario necessarily, but in the context of the movie and like being driven to the point of almost insanity down in this cave, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, especially the way she did it. She hits her in the leg. She doesn't like go for the head or anything to put her out quick.
Yeah.
She traps her in there with the monsters.
And of course, in the second movie, it's revealed that Juno's still alive. But like, taking this movie, and I think this is how anyone should do it, take this movie as a single event and just say, yes, Juno died down there. Sarah just basically killed her. That's how you should take this movie.
Yeah.
And like, if you think, going off of that, what did you think of the ending?
The ending, there's two endings that they're possible to watch: the American versus British. British is a little bit more to it. I like both. I think you like the British one a little better.
Oh, I much prefer the British one. Yeah.
What do you think about the British one?
British one felt more like an ending. I know we watched the American one initially, and it felt like the ending was very sudden. It just kind of cut off with the Juno jump scare, which I thought was a cheap jump scare.
Yeah, it was.
The British version, though, it helps with that Jessica through line, Sarah's daughter Jessica. It helps kind of wrap that up in a nice end. And I think just...
it gives more to the ending of the American that, like, she's still in the cave.
Yeah. And it matches the tone better. Like, this desperation and just the fact that she's still down there, I think is way more realistic and way more into the tone. And I know they cut it down because they thought American audiences couldn't handle such a dour ending. But I thought it was... I thought it was better, yeah.
Yeah, but overall I liked it.
Would you recommend it?
100%. It was a good one.
Yeah. Who'd you recommend it to?
I'd say, honestly, a lot of audiences, because Xander's more of the intense, like, horror movie kind of guy, but I'm more of a basic kind of watcher, and I liked it. And I know he liked it, so... I
definitely prefer the psychological horror, like the weirder, more out there horror. And I think you preferred the movie more than I did, but you're way more into the kind of modern, jump scary sort of horror. Anyone who can handle kind of... There are, like, the compound fractures and stuff, so there is some grotesque stuff in it, but it's definitely, like, a well-thought-out, well-executed horror movie where the tension just wins out over everything.
It does.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you should watch The Descent.